My name is Emily, and at 22 years old, I became the first person in my family to graduate from college. Growing up in the Midwest, my parents always made it clear that education wasn't a priority. My brother Jason was their golden child following Dad into business. I worked so hard for this moment, imagining my family would finally be proud. But as I put on my cap and gown, my phone buzzed with devastating news. And hours later, after crossing that stage alone, my heart stopped when I saw my dad's text, "Come home immediately," followed by 37 missed calls. If you're watching this video, let me know where you're tuning in from. Hit that subscribe button if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, and stay with me to find out what happened when I finally made it home that night. I grew up in a modest two-story home in Appleton, Wisconsin with my parents Mark and Diana Anderson. From an early age, it was clear that our family valued entrepreneurship over education. My father built a moderately successful construction company from the ground up, and he took immense pride in being self-made without a college degree. "School of hard knocks," he would always say with a proud smirk whenever anyone asked about his credentials. My mother worked alongside him, handling the bookkeeping and office management. They were a team in business and in life, their identities completely wrapped up in Anderson Construction. Our dinner conversations always revolved around contracts, clients, and cash flow. While other families discussed movies or vacation plans, we talked about profit margins and supplier negotiations. Then there was my younger brother Jason. 3 years my junior at 19, he was the spitting image of my father, both in appearance and ambition. By 16, he was already working construction sites during summers, learning the business from the ground up. My parents beamed with pride whenever Jason talked about innovative ways to expand the family business or shared stories about impressing clients on job sites. That boy was born with sawdust in his veins. My father would proudly tell anyone who would listen. Natural businessman, just like his old man. Meanwhile, I was the oddball with my nose always buried in books. I loved learning for the sake of learning, fascinated by science and literature in ways my family could never understand. When I brought home straight A's, my mother would absently pat my shoulder and say, "That's nice, Emily," before turning her attention back to whatever business crisis was happening that day. The pattern was established early. When I won the state science fair in 8th grade with a project on sustainable building materials, something I thought might actually interest my family, they couldn't attend, because Jason had a football game. When I was inducted into the National Honor Society, my parents arrived late and left early because they had a meeting with an important client. And when I received a partial scholarship to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, my father's first response was, "College is a waste of time and money. You could learn more working for me for 4 years." Despite their lack of enthusiasm, I was determined to pursue my education. I applied for every scholarship I could find and took out student loans to cover what my scholarships didn't. I worked part-time jobs throughout college, sometimes juggling 2 or 3 at once to pay for books and housing. While other students were enjoying campus life, I was waitressing, tutoring, and working at the campus bookstore. The one bright spot during my college years was Professor Catherine Williams. She taught my Introduction to Business Ethics course during sophomore year, and something about my essays caught her attention. She became my mentor, encouraging me to pursue an internship at a marketing firm in my junior year. That internship turned into a job offer waiting for me after graduation, a position with Graham Marketing in Chicago, that would start 2 weeks after commencement. When graduation day approached, I was ecstatic. Despite all the obstacles, I had made it. I had earned my business degree with a focus in marketing, maintained a 3.8 GPA while working multiple jobs, and secured a position at a respected firm. For once, I thought my family would have to acknowledge my achievement. 3 weeks before graduation, I called my mother to confirm that the family would attend the ceremony. "Of course we'll be there, Emily," she said, though I could hear her typing on her computer as we spoke. "Your father has already booked the hotel. We wouldn't miss it." I even received a rare text from my father. "Proud of you, kiddo. See you at graduation." In the days leading up to the ceremony, I meticulously prepared everything. I bought a new dress to wear under my gown, splurging on something I normally couldn't afford. I made dinner reservations at a nice restaurant for after the ceremony. I even created a detailed itinerary for my family, including the best place to park and where to meet after the ceremony. The night before graduation, I was too excited to sleep. For once, I would be the center of attention. For once, my achievements would be celebrated. For once, I thought I would feel like I truly belonged in the Anderson family. I woke up early on graduation day, my stomach fluttering with a mix of excitement and nerves. My roommate Sarah had left the previous day to visit her boyfriend, so I had the apartment to myself as I got ready. I curled my hair, applied my makeup carefully, and put on the new navy blue dress I had purchased for the occasion. As I was pinning my cap in place, my phone buzzed with a text. My heart leapt, assuming it was my parents letting me know they had arrived at the hotel. Instead, I saw my mother's name and a message that made my blood run cold. Emily, something's come up with Jason's business project. We won't be able to make it today. So proud of you, though. Take pictures. My hands shook as I called my mother, but the call went straight to voicemail. I tried my father with the same result. Finally, I called our home phone, but no one answered. In disbelief, I opened Instagram and immediately found my answer. My cousin Amber had posted a photo only 20 minutes earlier. It showed my entire family, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and of course Jason, all piled into boats at my uncle's lake house 3 hours away. The caption read, "Surprise fishing trip to celebrate Jason's first major contract. So proud of this guy." My brother had apparently secured his first independent construction project, and my family had decided that warranted a spontaneous celebration. On my graduation day, the day they had promised to be there for me. I sat on my bed, still in my cap and gown, and cried until my mascara ran in black streaks down my face. 4 years of hard work, thousands of dollars in student loans, countless sleepless nights working and studying, and my family couldn't spare one day to watch me walk across the stage. After allowing myself 15 minutes to fall apart, I wiped my face, reapplied my makeup, and straightened my shoulders. I wouldn't let them ruin this day for me. I had earned this moment with or without their support. My boyfriend Tom arrived to pick me up, his face lighting up when he saw me in my graduation attire. Tom was a year ahead of me and had already been working as an accountant in Madison for a year. He had been my rock throughout college, understanding my family situation better than anyone. "You look amazing," he said, kissing me softly to avoid smudging my freshly applied lipstick. When he noticed my reddened eyes, his smile faltered. "They're not coming, are they?" I showed him my mother's text and the Instagram post. His jaw tightened, but he quickly masked his anger. "Their loss," he said firmly. "This is your day, Emily. Let's make it incredible." The ceremony itself was a blur. I remember the weight of my gown in the warm May air, the feel of my tassels swinging against my cheek, the sound of thousands of people cheering in the stadium. When they called my name, Emily Anderson, Bachelor of Business Administration, magna cum laude, I walked across that stage with my head held high. In the audience, instead of my family, I saw Tom standing and cheering wildly. Next to him was Professor Williams, her face beaming with pride as she took photo after photo. They might not have been related to me by blood, but in that moment, they were more family than my actual relatives had ever been. After the ceremony, we met up with some of my classmates and their families for an impromptu celebration. I forced myself to smile and laugh, to accept congratulations and well wishes, all while ignoring the empty space where my family should have been. It wasn't until late that afternoon, as we were finishing our meal at the restaurant, where I'd made reservations for a family that never showed, that I finally checked my phone again. 37 missed calls, all from my father, starting about 2 hours after the ceremony would have ended. And one text message that made my heart stop. "Come home immediately. We need to go." I told Tom my graduation dinner forgotten as panic surged through me. Something had to be terribly wrong for my father to call that many times. Tom looked at me with concern. "Do you want me to drive you?" It's a 3-hour trip. I nodded, unable to speak through the knot of anxiety in my throat. As Tom paid the bill, I tried calling my father back, but again, no answer. I tried my mother, my grandparents, even Jason, but every call went to voicemail. The 3-hour drive from Madison to Appleton was excruciating. Tom tried to keep me calm, suggesting various scenarios that might explain the urgent summons, but none made sense. If there had been an accident, my father would have said so. If someone was in the hospital, he would have mentioned it. As Tom drove, my mind replayed all the times my family had chosen Jason over me. There was my 16th birthday, which had been overshadowed by Jason's football championship the same weekend. My parents had moved my birthday dinner to the following week, so they could attend his game. There was the time I'd been accepted to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, an achievement that was barely acknowledged because Jason had just gotten his driver's license the same day. There was the Christmas when I received practical gifts like socks and gift cards, while Jason was given a used truck so he could help with the business. Yet despite all this, they were still my family. And now something was wrong, something serious enough to warrant 37 panicked calls, and I was terrified. As we pulled into the driveway of my childhood home around 9 in the evening, I was struck by how quiet the house seemed. No lights were on except in the living room, and my father's truck was the only vehicle present. "I'll wait out here," Tom said, squeezing my hand. "Call me if you need me." With my graduation cap and gown folded over my arm, still wearing my new dress, I approached the front door. Before I could knock, it swung open to reveal my father. I barely recognized him. Mark Anderson had always been a proud man, standing tall with shoulders back, his salt and pepper hair meticulously combed. The man before me looked like he had aged 10 years in a day. His hair was disheveled, his eyes bloodshot, his normally crisp, button-up shirt wrinkled and untucked. "Dad, what's going on? Where is everyone?" I asked as he ushered me inside without a word. The living room was a mess. Papers scattered across the coffee table, an empty whiskey glass tipped over on the carpet. My father sank into his recliner and buried his face in his hands. "Your brother's gone," he finally said, his voice rough. "He's taken the money and disappeared." "What money? What are you talking about?" I asked, still standing, still holding my graduation gown like some absurd security blanket. $175,000, my father said, looking up at me with hollow eyes. "The money for the Westfield project materials. Your brother was supposed to order everything today, had the company card. Instead, he cleared it out and disappeared." My mind reeled at the information. Jason had stolen from the family business. It seemed impossible. Jason, the golden child, the future of Anderson Construction, had embezzled money and run. "Where's Mom?" I managed to ask. "At the police station," my father replied. "Trying to file a report. They're saying it's a family matter since Jason's name is on the business account." I sank onto the couch, trying to process everything. "Did you try calling him?" My father laughed bitterly. "Of course we called him. His phone's been turned off since this afternoon, right after he left the bank." A terrible thought occurred to me. "Is that why you called me, to help find Jason?" My father looked at me as though the answer was obvious. "Of course that's why. You need to help us fix this, Emily. The business could go under if we don't recover that money." Not once did he mention missing my graduation. Not once did he apologize for the family choosing Jason's celebration over my achievement. Not once did he even acknowledge that today was supposed to be one of the most important days of my life. "I have a job starting in Chicago in 2 weeks." I said, my voice surprisingly steady, despite the anger and hurt coursing through me. My father waved his hand dismissively. "You'll have to call them and decline. Family comes first, Emily. We need you here." And there it was. Family comes first, but only when the family needed me. Not when I needed them. "Where's Mom?" I asked again, needing to understand the full situation. "Like I said, she's at the police station," my father replied impatiently. "Your grandparents took her there, then they went home. Everyone's in shock." I could imagine. Their perfect son, their golden child, had betrayed them in the worst way possible. And now they expected me, the child they had consistently overlooked, to drop everything and save them. My phone buzzed in my purse. A text from Tom. "Everything okay? Been out here 20 mins. My boyfriend is outside," I said, standing up. "I need to tell him what's going on." My father's expression darkened. "Is that really a priority right now, Emily? Your brother has stolen enough money to bankrupt us, and you're worried about your boyfriend sitting in a car." I fought back the urge to scream that they hadn't considered my graduation a priority just hours earlier. Instead, I walked outside without another word. Tom rolled down the window as I approached. "What's happening?" "Jason stole money from the business and disappeared." I summarized, my voice hollow. "Apparently, I'm expected to drop my job and help clean up his mess." Tom's expression shifted from concern to outrage. "Are you serious? After they skipped your graduation for him, and now they expect you to cancel your job to fix his screw-up?" I nodded, tears finally breaking through my carefully maintained composure. "I don't know what to do, Tom." He reached through the window and took my hand. "You don't owe them this, Emily. Not after everything. But whatever you decide, I'm here for you." I squeezed his hand gratefully. "Can you find a hotel nearby? I think I need to stay tonight, at least until Mom gets back. I need to understand exactly what happened." Tom nodded. "Text me if you need anything. Literally anything, even if it's just a reason to escape for 5 minutes." As I watched him drive away, I took a deep breath and turned back toward the house, toward the family that had never prioritized me, but now expected me to be their salvation. The next morning, our kitchen became command central for what my father was calling Operation Find Jason. My mother had returned from the police station late last night, her face streaked with dried tears, and immediately collapsed into bed without even acknowledging my presence. By 9 a.m., relatives began arriving. My grandparents from both sides, my father's brother, Uncle Steve, and his wife, Aunt Martha, my mother's sister, Aunt Laura, and 2 of my cousins who were close to Jason. They all filed in with grim expressions, bringing casseroles and coffee, as though preparing for a funeral rather than a family crisis. Not a single person mentioned my graduation, not one congratulations, not one question about the ceremony, not even a casual, "How was yesterday?" It was as though my achievement had been completely erased by Jason's betrayal. My father stood at the head of the kitchen table, looking marginally more put together than the night before. My mother sat beside him, her eyes red-rimmed and vacant, as everyone settled around the table with coffee cups and concerned expressions. My father cleared his throat. "As you all know, Jason has taken company funds and disappeared." He began, his voice strained but authoritative. $175,000 that was earmarked for the Westfield project. That project is due to break ground in 3 weeks. If we don't recover the money or find a way to replace it, we'll default on the contract. We could lose the business." A ripple of murmurs went through the room. Anderson Construction had been part of our family identity for over 20 years. "Where would he go?" Grandpa Anderson asked, his weathered hands wrapped tightly around his coffee mug. "The boys never even been outside Wisconsin except for that trip to Minnesota for the fishing tournament. He mentioned Florida once," my cousin Drew offered. "Said he liked the idea of living somewhere it never snows." Everyone began talking at once, offering theories about Jason's whereabouts. Las Vegas was suggested because of the gambling, California because of the beaches. Even Canada, though, no one could articulate why Jason would flee to another cold climate. I sat silently at the corner of the table, watching my family spiral into increasingly unlikely scenarios. It struck me that they all seemed more concerned with finding Jason than with addressing the fact that he had committed a serious crime. There was an underlying current of, "We just need to talk some sense into him," rather than, "He needs to face consequences for stealing." After about 20 minutes of this, my mother suddenly turned to me. "Emily, you went to college. You're smart with computers. Can't you track him somehow? Find his phone or his credit cards or something?" It was the first time anyone had addressed me directly and notably, the first time my education had ever been framed as potentially useful. "That's not how it works, Mom," I replied carefully. "The police would need to issue warrants for that kind of tracking, and even they might have trouble if Jason has turned off his phone and is using cash." My father slammed his hand on the table, making several people jump. "The police aren't doing anything. They said since he's an authorized user on the account, it's a civil matter, not criminal. We're on our own here." As everyone resumed their speculation, I slipped away to the office at the back of the house. This had always been the nerve center of Anderson construction, with filing cabinets lining the walls and a large desk dominated by a desktop computer. I sat down at the computer and began looking through recent files, hoping to find something that might indicate where Jason had gone or what he had been planning. What I found shocked me. According to the company's accounting software, this wasn't Jason's first withdrawal. For the past 3 months, small amounts between $1,000 and $5,000 had been siphoned off from various project budgets. The final large withdrawal was just the culmination of what appeared to be a calculated scheme. I printed out the relevant documents and returned to the kitchen. The conversation had shifted to how the family would manage the financial fallout. "We might need to mortgage the house," my father was saying, his voice defeated. "Or sell some equipment." "What about your college fund, Emily?" my grandmother asked innocently. "Is there anything left in that?" I froze in the doorway. My college fund consisted of scholarships I had earned and money I had saved from working multiple jobs. And now they expected me to hand it over to fix my brother's mess. "I don't have a college fund," I said quietly. "I paid for school with scholarships and working. What little I have saved is for my apartment deposit in Chicago." An uncomfortable silence fell over the room. Then my father spoke. "About Chicago. We really need you here, Emily. The business is in crisis. You can find a marketing job in Appleton." I looked around at my family, all watching me expectantly. They had spent years prioritizing Jason, and the business over me missed my graduation for a fishing trip to celebrate him, and now expected me to sacrifice the job opportunity I had worked so hard for. "I found something you all should see," I said, instead of responding to my father's implied demand. I laid the printouts on the table. "Jason has been taking money for months. Small amounts that apparently no one noticed. Yesterday wasn't a spontaneous decision. He's been planning this." My mother grabbed the papers, her face crumpling as she scanned the evidence. "Why would he do this to us?" No one had an answer. As the implications of Jason's long-term deception sank in, I slipped away again, this time to Jason's room. Unlike mine, which had been converted to a guest room almost immediately after I left for college, Jason's room remained a shrine to his adolescence.